Hello, we are here to present our key activity. We are Emilio, Andrea, and Emiliano. The purpose for doing this activity was to find functions on our daily lives and on places we might see daily, such as newspapers and magazines. The topics we searched for were the coronavirus issue as well as how cases increase, and the money changing from euro to pesos. The content we wrote in this report were based on how we analyzed some functions we found in text, graphic, tables, and formula. We found these functions mainly on the economic section as well as the health sections. Due to the situations, we had to make our investigation based on internet sources. Mainly, we focused ourselves on newspapers or informatic catalogs. We decided to talk about these topics because of what we were seeing outside and what we were fighting day after day. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the natural language function. We found this function in natural language on an article about the COVID-19 in Spain on the newspaper El País. The article talks about how old people in Spain are getting infected. We thought this would be helpful because we noticed the way they were talking about how many people were getting infected had a certain way as a function. And we asked ourselves, is that really a function? Well, the formula we discovered from natural language is a linear function. The formula is m equals 0.087 times c. The variables represent m, the number of men who are 80 years old or more, and c, the cases infected. The independent and dependent variables are c is the independent variable, m is the dependent variable.
We found the table as a function on the newspaper El Financiero on the economic section. We thought it would be useful because this table is talking about how pesos are changing to euros and vice versa. And we thought it was a good topic to talk about as a function. We chose this function to transform it into the other four type of functions. But before heading to that, we can say that the formula we found on this table was E equals 26.4944 times P, meaning that the variable E represents the quantity of euros and P represents the quantity of pesos. The independent variable is P and the dependent is E, and our range and domain will be 0, infinite. So when we transformed this function on the natural language, we basically just explained written how the function was working. We translated the table into handwritten, and we're basically describing how the peso would change into euro. And yeah, on the graphic, we put our formula and graphic it with GeoGebra, and it shows how the graphic is a linear function because that it is. This function is a linear function, so it's just a line between really small, like it's a small gap between the x intersection. And yeah, we found this formula function on an article on the newspaper El País. It was a science article. We could identify this was a formula due to that this article will explain how Bernoulli had found a formula of pandemics and how they expand. Basically, it's talking about this function and this formula, how it is planted, and we're gonna basically just talk about that this formula is an exponential function, meaning that is where a variable, when x is a variable and a is a constant, and based on what the function is called. And mostly the exponential functions are a transcendental number, meaning that they scale up. Also, we can say that the variables on this specific function are x times x, presented as people that are likely to be infected, p times x, people alive that are infected, and the dependent and independent variable are that q is the independent variable and p is the dependent variable.
Graphic. We found the graphic on the newspaper El Confidencial, a Spanish newspaper. It easily drew our attention due to that it was easy to comprehend and know that it was a function. It talked about how the death increased and the cases increased in Spain and many other cities. The variables represented in this is T as positive cases and D as daily increasing. The formula we found on this graphic was a linear function. The formula was c equals t times d, and the independent and dependent variable was t as the dependent and d as the dependent variable.
The answer to this equation
The
was...
range and the domain is 0, infinity. In conclusion, we now know there are many functions that we use in our daily life and in recent situations. However, the thing is that we don't normally notice these functions. They are complex. But with this exercise, it's easily and more effective to know in newspapers, news articles, and magazines. Moreover, this exercise helped us differentiate the different functions that we studied in class in a more easy way, and how to identify them. We believe we did accomplish what we were looking for, which was identifying correctly the functions. In our opinion, we believe that the most easy way and the best way to identify a function is when it's presented on a graph. For the reason, this is used in a very explicit way. What I'm trying to say is that it's easy to comprehend and everyone can understand. The results we achieved in our investigation were the ones we were claiming to have. We got the four equations, and then we converted one function into a different form. We learned a lot after doing this activity, and used past knowledge to make a better work. We all like this activity, and it made us learn and understand how to use functions in our daily life.